Just so you can hear yourself.
Yeah,
Nope. Can't see them.
You can pass it.
I'll make it a black.
I like that. And this can be maybe for passing around. Maybe this will be you and me. Okay, okay. We got it. We got it. We got it. Okay. Well, could you maybe sit in a different building? Mrs. Fair says you're good, so never mind. All right. Well, greetings, y'all. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited. And I'm here at our Alchemy Community Wealth Building Center at 38th and Illinois with Stephanie Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
And we are excited to, it's already having fun, to get into it with y'all. Figure out what you want to know about institution building, infrastructure, and beyond. So we're going to do a customary check-in as our first step. If you've been to any Kheprw Institute events, this is part of our Mumbo Jumbo series we do every Wednesday here virtually and in person from 6 to 8 on Alchemy Plus, alchemy.kheprw.org. And this is the fourth Wednesday empowerment series. So, if you have an institution, you can empower not just yourself, but a lot of people for a long time. So that's our focus today. And for our check-in question, we will do the traditional two. If today was a color, what color is it for you? If you're feeling like a number, it could be 1 to 10, but whatever you want. And our bonus question today is if you could build anything in the world with the snap of your fingers, what would it be? You can take that question any way you want. I can start us off. I am feeling like a sparkly pixie purple and deep space black 8.88 and snap of a finger. I think it would be like a spirit translator. It would take like the things that like people say or like thoughts and kind of translate it into how your spiritual aspect would interpret the experience and put that into words for us humans. And I will pass it to my left. Here you go, dear.
I'm thinking gold. I like the yellow of the chair and on the pillow with the nice scarab beetle that I had to do research to learn what that is. So that's my color. Let's go with 6 squared perhaps today. And if I could snap my fingers, I would develop something that lets me read the energy. Like I would put an energetic field around people. And I could be like, bless your heart. You need to adjust that frequency. I'm passing it over to M.
Well, I can tell this is going to be a fun evening. You can't tell me what to do, Mimi Zakem. Oh, okay. I think my color is going to be dung beetle brown. My number is going to be 11 for intuition. And if I could pop my finger and create anything I want in the world, it was a tool that would do one or two things. Improve the level of knowledge and wisdom for those that are ignorant, and for those who will refuse the tool, elimination.
Thanks. Alvin here. I'm feeling like 8 sea green, and mine was similar, but mine was a mass confusion device. I think we know all these things. This is who I am. This is what I own. And this device just makes everyone confused. They don't know who they are anymore. They don't know what they know anymore. They don't know what they own anymore. Like, no, it's great. Straight from Taoism. And I'll pass it to Khalid to check in.
Okay, I'm a 10 brown, and if I could snap my finger and it would appear. Um, hmm, I, what? I think I would go back to like, I would make it so we go back to like trading instead of having currency. Well, trading is a type of currency, but I meant no more US dollars. That's what I meant. There you go. Finger symbol.
Just be patient, Khaled. We'll get there.
Thank you.
Um, Feeling like a blue four and honestly don't know. I'll pass it back to the facilitators.
Okay, let's try this one. Can y'all hear us online?
Your mic's not on.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's pass it to the virtual folks. Thank you for being here with us. And anybody want to volunteer to come off mute and give us your check-in?
I can go first.
Let's go.
Hi all. I'm feeling like a 9, sage green, and I would build the world's biggest library with all the books that have ever existed, and anyone can access them at any time for free.
Nerd. I love it.
And I'll pass it
Congrats.
to Chin.
What's up, y'all? I'm feeling green like a pine tree, feeling like an 8 today. And if I could snap my fingers and build anything in the world, I think it would be some system or device that can halt the progression of climate change long enough for us to, you know, correct our behavior. And I'll pass it to Lauren Warfield.
Good evening. So today I am a purple 8. I would snap my fingers and build the make the world a better place machine that renews energy through love.
Mm. Vote. I vote for yours. Okay, thank you. You can pass it to the next person.
I will pass it to Sheila Silva.
Okay, greetings and peace, everybody. I'm feeling great today because where I am in Europe, it's cold. Number 6, I worked a lot today mentally. And if I could create something, it would be to build a system where we could live more in balance with nature and in community, so supporting each other in the endeavors to improve the world in a nice way.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Where in Europe are you calling in from?
I'm in Germany, Frankfurt.
Oh, okay. How's how's Germany?
It's fine. It's fine. Cold and crazy also.
Sounds similar to here, except it's warm. How'd you hear about the event?
Oh, I'm connected with the community. I don't know, through social media. Social media connects people, right? So it's so easy to connect with people who are well-minded. So to build things, it was through social media.
Beautiful. Marketing team. Let's go. Well, thank you. Thank you for tapping in with us. And you can pass it to the next person.
Shiny, if I'm pronouncing correctly.
You did. Thank you. What's good, Kheprw fam? Coming to
Wow.
you from so-called Portland, Oregon. Today was a quick and concise blue 32. And if I could snap my fingers, and I can because I work magic, y'all, I would build a never-ending greenhouse with all of the ancestral foods that have ever or will ever be.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Let's see. I think, is it Pambana?
You did say it right. She might just be looking for that unmute.
Oh, my color is a carnation red. My number is 11 for intuition. And if I could snap my fingers, I would change the nature of all human beings to be more loving, caring, to live in balance with Earth and all of its other living entities, be they animals or whatever. But and whatever decisions that we made, would always think about how it affects the larger community and the world. So that's what I would do.
Bless. Thanks,
And
Pambana.
I don't know. Let's see. Has Lauren gone?
I think that was everybody. So if
Yes, I
someone
have.
cool. Yeah, I believe that was everybody. And we have, I will say, a room of conscious people who are about love of planet and people. So I think this is going to be a good session. Um, I also just want to say quick before I pass it, are we streaming on Indianapolis Recorder? Cool. Shout out to the Indianapolis Recorder, historic Black newspaper here in the city. Been doing great work for a very long time and also helps to amplify the work that we do here by broadcasting on their platforms. And we've had a great partnership. And if you're not familiar, you should check them out. And I think I will pass it over to my friend Stephanie to keep it rolling. Here you go, dear.
Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so today we are talking institution, we are talking infrastructure, but then there was a third I, which was inquiry. And so, just to make this discussion really fruitful, really profitable, and meaningful for the people who are here, I'm just going to start asking some questions for the group of what it is that you are building, what is most needful from you regarding these topics today. What's your vision? And so just take a moment, maybe 30 seconds to think about that. And if you know right offhand what it is that you are building, you can certainly come off mute and share that if you're willing, if you're open. I invite you to be open today and engaging. Um, so, yeah, would love to hear some from you. Also, would love to hear if you are struggling with vision. Maybe you haven't quite wrapped your arms around it. Maybe it feels too big. Maybe it feels
I'll go.
incoherent. Yeah, hey, let's go, Chin. What you
Yeah,
got?
yeah, for sure. So I would say I kind of have two answers for this. I'd say like long term, biggest of pictures. I'm trying to like build a community ecosystem, or like I guess you could call it like an institutional ecosystem. So that's like, a lot of different organizations and teams that are sort of like aligned in a vision of how we, the world we want to live in and how we want to get there, and who are working together in various areas and fields to bring that into being. I'd say like to zoom in a little bit, like my role in that ecosystem, I'm an artist. And I believe in the power of art to like, one, I think like help people imagine a better world, but also to mobilize resources to make that better world possible. And so I'd say like I'm working very directly right now, trying to build like artistic institutions and like artistic collectives that are focused on that. So, I'm trying to, I've got like my personal artistic practice that I'm trying to build and organize and systematize, but I'm also trying to build a publishing cooperative and like a production cooperative to help other artists, like maintain um, the freedom and agency that comes with being an independent artist, but, also be able to access some of the
Well,
institutional
there
support
the
that comes with being a part of like a
the
traditional
View Museum that says
publishing
motivational.
arrangement. So
And that is super exciting and super dope. And as you were talking, it made me think about infrastructure. And, if we think about this city, right, we have the system of roads, and then we have all of the underground utilities, and then we have educational systems and, hospital systems, medical systems, right? And all of the buildings and the way that we move through communication and lines, all of this infrastructure is what allows and empowers the movement of people, ideas, things, so on and so forth. So what I just heard you saying is like an infrastructure of institutes. Um, very
yeah,
exciting. Thank you. Yeah. Who else? Talk to me, baby. Uh. I just made that one up. I don't even know if that exists.
Might turn into a karaoke session.
Right?
If y'all don't jump in here.
Okay, so let's do this. If you're not multitasking, if you're able to be focused, let's do some reflection for a moment. Astro project yourself out 10, 15, 20 years, or your institution. Okay, so think of the institution that's in your mind. It may be related to the thing you wanted to snap your fingers and build. Breathe. Just take a few breaths. Just be aware of your breathing. You don't have to change it. Just notice it. As you envision your world in 10 years, what does that look like for you? You can start your journal entry with a world where, and just start to fill in this thing. What does it look like? Who's there with you? Is it vibrant? Is there music playing? Is it in the mountains or maybe by the ocean or lake perhaps? Or forest even? Mm-mm. Uh. This is going to help you think. Uh. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. What are the sounds? What does it smell like? Mm-mm. Now it's 100 years from now, and your institution is still thriving. It's still surviving. What's going on in there? People are still coming. What are they doing? Mm, mm, mm. Sheila, what's some of your reflections on this as you just think about it? And let's have fun, baby. There's no wrong answers today. This is mumbo jumbo. Let's talk.
I can share. I saw the institution, an organization I'm a part of, a community for women. Yes, where we are growing. We have not just members in this general membership, people paying fees, but we are growing. We have a small daycare for children, so who are a part of this community. We have family gatherings. We have psychological support. We work together. We celebrate a specific calendar for our community. And when I think about these 100 years that we not just survived, but we thrived, we grew, we are also internationally as a huge community connected. So thriving, having children like a legacy. So when these children say, oh, these people, they started this project 100 years ago, and now we are here internationally everywhere in the world with the same system and carrying that.
I love that. You got me smiling on the inside, Sheila. Thank you. Who else has a thought? Ooh, somebody jumped off. They knew I was going to call on them. M, Shiny, Pambana, anybody want to share?
Yeah, I can share. At first I thought, oh, I don't have a vision for this. I'm tired. And then I thought, that is my vision. I'm gonna be sleeping in the sun, which means that the organization is stable, which means that the people are connected to themselves, to each other, to community, to our history and our future, which means that our people are fed and whole, which means that our people are on the land, not being granted the land, but being on the land and with the land and of the land. And I'm still going to be sleeping in the sun because I will have done my job. And that feels all right.
Yeah, I love how that feels and sounds. Okay, any thoughts? Anything here in the room? Can we pull up the slide deck and let's kind of start taking through our discussion? Discussione. I'm multilingual up in this piece.
I bet you speak a few dozen languages.
I look like I do. Seriously, people call me the Pakistani lady. Uh, you know, I've been called a lot of stuff. It's okay. It's what you answer to. That's what they tell me. Ooh, I love these. You cannot not have your pinky up, and I just love this experience. You know what I mean? Exactly. Look, I'm trying to drink the microphone. Wrong hand. Mm. And something about the saucer. Mm-hmm. Experience. Okay, let's go with the next slide. So we did a little bit of this together. Let's go again. Next slide. We did a little bit of this discussion together, but I would encourage you to just continue to think about what you're building, why it matters, and the who of who is it designed to serve. And this is the most important piece because without a very strong, clear vision with the right emotional attachment to it, you will tire out in the building of it. When it gets hard, when it's not fun, when you're tired, and you're burnt out and nobody gets it. Nobody's listening. There's no funding. There's no money for it. All of these things, when they come up against us, the thing, especially building institutes, these are big things. They're bigger than us. But our vision has to be so strong, so clear, and we communicate it so well that it infects the others around us and gets them excited in ways that attracts them to what we're doing. And so when it comes to building, it's different if you open up a coffee shop and you're like, okay, I love making coffee, so I'm gonna open up a coffee shop. That can be powered totally on your own energy, on your own money, on your own energy, your own time, whatever. But we're talking about institutions. Um, my best friend and I, we had this argument of sorts one day. We talked passionately with each other, my sister. And we were talking about what we wanted to build. And the point that I was making to her is the blueprint for a tiny home is not the same as the blueprint for the One America building downtown. Those things have different blueprints. My boyfriend's a plumber. They're working on the Methodist hospital. They have got to go in a certain order. The thing gets built in a specific order. There's framing. And then when do the electricians come versus the plumbers? And when do the walls go up? Right? And any one thing that's built out of order or built off can throw off the whole project and set them behind for months and months. Right? It gets very expensive. So when you are building big things, just remember that it's going to take dedication, intention, but the blueprint, that's the clear vision that you're going to communicate. Where there's no vision, they say people perish. Right? So next slide, please. I think I've beat that horse to death. But I'm telling you, here's the thing. People want to take classes and they want to understand marketing and stuff and all this stuff. Baby, without a strong vision, honey, you ain't got nothing to talk about. What you marketing?
Yeah.
Right.
You can't
Okay.
get lack of vision.
Bam.
No matter how good it is,
Bam.
it's not gonna hit.
So mission is what you do, purpose, why you exist. We can war game these things. There's tons of examples of mission, vision, value statements are important. What are the core values of your organization? If your core value is collectivity, collaboration, all of those kind of things, and you get someone in there that's not aligned with those values, right? And they're like, hey, well, whatever's good for the self is good for everybody. No, we think collectively here as a part of our fabric. And you, as the institution builder, need to make those decisions. Okay? You need to make those decisions up front. Who are we? What do we stand for? Who's going to be a part of our special sauce here? Because not everybody can go on this particular trip. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We want them here. But going back to the ignorance, not everybody can hang with this crew, okay?
M's device.
Boom. Okay, we can make you less ignorant or we can demolish you. Which one you going for today? Okay, next slide. Okay, family. Ideas do not scale, systems do. I say again. Ideas do not scale, systems do. And so here we are shifting from individually, like you all have an idea in your brain. Ooh, this is cool. Pull out a piece of paper. Bam. Pull out a piece of paper and start to draw this thing, what it looks like. Some circles, some squares, some triangles. Just try to kind of put, and of course, I know Chin's the artist. That's cool. Don't judge yourself. Just draw it.
Stick figure.
Yes, it can be stick figures. You can draw people. They can have curly hair. They can be bald. Because unless and until you can take what's in your head and get it out here for people to act upon, then you are stuck with an idea, and ideas don't scale. Systems do. Okay, next slide. My pictures didn't come through. I had some wonderful graphics. Now, I love this. Hold on a second, fam. Good person. I'm getting tired. I got to shoot. I'm getting to it over here. Take this crap off.
Well, it made me think about like when we built the community controlled food initiative and we scaled. I mean, especially in the pandemic, like from 30, we in 1 month we went from 30 orders of produce bags from local farmers to 120. And you are correct. Ideas don't scale, systems do. And I know you're going to get into more of the different aspects of, operations and systems, but like, yeah, you have the idea of we need more produce, but that actually looks like, what is the difference between the vehicle capacity required to transport 30 bags versus, 120? And, yeah, you just really have me thinking through experiences where I have seen scale and how to break down the systems changes into those kind of components that equal you being able to grow. And what are the different aspects of those blueprints that aren't the same?
Thank you. Excelente. So while we're on the topic of ideas, I really like to show this because sometimes we can get really dialed into idea soup and, oh, great ideas. And I've got lots of ideas and ideas. I don't want to share my ideas. Some people, don't want to, I don't want anybody to take my idea. And I want to let you know the value of an idea, right? And so on the left, we're looking at our idea multiplier, and we're ranging from a completely awful idea to a brilliant idea. Okay. And on the other side, we have execution as a multiplier. So let's walk through it like this. A weak idea with a value of 1 with so-so execution could generate about 10K. That's the value of a weak idea with average execution. Then you can see a so-so idea, a good idea with great execution. That gets us that 7-figure that we're looking at there, right? And then, but a brilliant idea with no execution is not worth a damn plug nickel. I mean, it's worth about 1. You see what I'm saying? Or 20 bucks. I hand you a 20 for that idea. So, right, just keep it. That's how you feel. Like keep it. So it's the execution when you're building that you really must dial in. The idea is great. Let's start getting it out on a piece of paper where it becomes the executable file, right? On the laptop. There's an executable program that makes this stuff run. So I just wanted to share that with you all and help me spread the idea that an idea in and of itself, isn't the special sauce. And also have no fear of sharing your ideas because people can't execute like you anyway. If it's your idea, right, no one's going to be able to breathe the life into it that you breathe. Okay, next slide. I think I beat that one to death. Dang it. What is going on with my dang on pictures? Okay. So what this one says, hello. This one, that's okay. Tardy for the party. Absolutely. Let's get your check in.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. My name is Sky, and I'm really excited to be here because everything on the flyer, Amani sent it to me, And I met you briefly with Kay and Amani. I do some environmental things. I'm a playwright and I'm a community organizer. And so I'm here to soak up it all so that I can plug in here to this organization in Indianapolis. So what are we checking in? Was there a question? Oh, this makes me so full. So, my color today is definitely purple. I'm just dripping in that. I'm waiting for. Thank you very much. This is so pleasant. Just walking into this home and welcoming. Thank you so much for all of it. Um, yeah, all of the crocus. I'm looking for more crocus to be coming up now that the daffodils are here. So purple is definitely my color. But my number today would be 5. If I could just high five everybody. And the magic wand would be um, justice. Yeah, this is magic wand justice. Thank you.
Old Testament.
Ah, ooh, you said Old Testament or New Testament justice?
Oh, I love that sparkling of my brain. I would say Old Testament justice. Yeah, let's take it where it's all or nothing. Yeah, the New Testament kind of makes it a little bit soft. When you go back to the Old Testament way of thinking is just raw. Like this is what it is. Consequences are here. Consequences are death or life. And I can appreciate that and right now how everything is. So I want some Old Testament justice right now.
Live tonight. You are very much. Aim's device had some in common with you, and yeah, we're going Old Testament tonight.
My device had New Testament, Old Testament.
That's true. Yours had options.
The person.
Yes, you got peace sign in one pocket and something else in the other. Red pill, blue. Thanks, guys.
So I can get in the right uniform that Mimi didn't tell me about.
I'm sorry, that is my bad. I totally and I thought
Like
about it a
one
couple
of these
times.
things is
Mask
not like the
segment.
other.
Stephanie's putting her mask on. We keep up, the public health measures. There's a lot of stuff happening out there, and we want to protect each other, as well as we can, especially with what's going on with the medical system these days. You want to talk about systems and infrastructure? Woo! That one is one that makes me want to mask.
Can you hear me, my loves? Oh yeah. And my breath don't stink. Hey, this mask is reminding me about the treacheries that used to be, boy, don't miss a day. Like, oh my gosh, I'm about to hurt myself. Okay. So, institution building. So the homework, my love, that just what's your name again? Sky. Okay. So Sky, the activity was to start drawing out the vision of the institution. Okay. So because we're coming out of the individual mind, out of your mind, and we're putting it onto an objective space where we can start to really communicate it with clarity and excitement about the vision. Okay. So institution building, people, roles, accountability. Okay, so in institutions, right, we have layered. Think of your org chart, okay, for whatever it is that you're building. You can start with yourself, but draw the boxes. What do they look like? What is your structure? Is it like a matrix where everyone's kind of co-reporting to each other and what does that look like for your people? Who's ultimately accountable? Who's ultimately responsible? Right? If someone gets hurt in this thing, like how do we resolve conflict? So you need to think about that in whatever it is that you're building. Go ahead and draw out the org chart. If you know you need a marketing team of 5, um, and operations team, and you've got your spoken word team and your written team, whatever it looks like. The key is define it. Define it. Guess what? If it changes next month, that's okay. You take the box on the PowerPoint chart and you move it from over here to down here. You can do that, but it's out in objective space where you can communicate that. And then what are their roles? You know, do you expect your marketing person to go out and do sales? Do you expect them to be digitally fluent or paper based? What are their roles? What's your expectation? You know, a lot of people work in terms of like unwritten expectations, like, oh, we just kind of expected them to know. Well, you know, if you didn't have a culture of communication, if you didn't communicate those things coming in, then you kind of get what you get, which leads us to our second thought here, which is about culture. How do we communicate? You know, is everybody expected to take their laptops home and read emails every night? Like, what's the deal? Are we on a Teams channel or, you know, and what's our culture? The culture is how we do things here. You can have all the beautiful business plan and the business stuff. You can write your values on the wall, baby, and you can say, here we are supportive of each other. But if that culture is, no, we look out for number one here. The culture will override the paperwork every single time. Okay. So sometimes you have to do a culture shift. You bring in new people, so on and so forth.
There was a quote
That
Alvin.
reminds me of
He's probably about to say it.
Alvin could probably tell you exactly where this quote is from, but this idea that culture eats systems for breakfast.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. He said systems. I've read it, strategy, culture is strategy. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's so funny because I just spoke really strongly to our culture because that's the first thing that came to my mind. And then I was about to say it and then Chin said it. Agreed.
Facts. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of as the institution gets bigger. Okay, so I'm going to share with you all some institutions that I have belonged to. Let's take the institution of the armed forces, right? There are maybe 200,000 people in the Army Reserves. I can walk into one facility here in Indiana and get one culture, get another culture down in now South Carolina or North Carolina, a completely different culture in California or Puerto Rico or wherever it is that we operate, right? So just remember when, as you're building out institutions, it gets harder and harder to make sure that culture is representative the more you scale and the bigger you get. And you use mechanisms like your core values, like, you know, annual training and reports from the CEO or the top person that come out and say, here we welcome everyone, you know. But that accountability goes back to when people are not aligned and you can visually see the behavior that doesn't align with this culture that we need to protect, what do we do about it? You know, and then that becomes how cultures that are counterproductive continue because no one ever does anything about it. Oh, well, so and so, they've been in for 20 years. That's just the way they talk, you know.
It makes me think of like the longevity of Kheprw as a formal institution, 20 some years now, and people like ask, like, well, what is it? And like especially for I would say younger
We
people
kind of
who
can't hear Mimi.
oh no. Hello. It
Yeah.
just it made me reflect about, Kheprw Institute, 20 some years now formally. And, people ask about the secret sauce, and um, a lot of it is that integrity of the leadership where they walk the talk, because anybody can say anything, but if I see you say one thing and then do another, my trust it is gone. And part of what attracted me to Kheprw, and I think attracts a lot of leaders and people who stay, is I see that what you say is what you do. And that speaks louder than anything. And it's also sort of like another thing it made me think about is with kids. You can tell them one thing, but kids watch everything and they pick up on everything. And if you say one thing, but they watch you do another, that's the culture that you're passing on through your behavior. And that's where that, like, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Like, what is normal? What do I see happening? Not what do you say it is?
Yeah, super important. The organization I just took over a couple years ago, um, when you coming into an organization that's really big, you have different response levels. Some people are really, really excited, or they at least act like they are. They appear to be, right? Oh my God, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. And then you have people that are just, professional. And then you have some that just kind of stay quiet. Well, maybe after about 3 or 4 months. And like I take the PT test with everybody. I don't do stuff on the side because I'm afraid I can't pass my run. If I don't pass the run, everybody's going to see me fail. That's just what it is. And so a guy walked into my office. He hadn't said 2 words to me. And he goes, "Hey, I just want you to know that culture accountability demands transparency, and keep doing what you're doing." And so, I think one of the things that my generation probably struggles, I'm Generation X, so I'm 52 years old, and social media removed the whole concept of you can be this way in your personal life and this way in your public life. It took that line away to where it's like, no, you have to walk the talk now. Uh, it's not just your kids that see you're full of crap. It's it's all of us. Um, so anyway, some people struggle with that transparency, so on and so forth. But to your point, trust is built through that consistency, and that's what you were just talking about. So these are things that are necessary, right, to think about. Next slide, please. Okay. So teams you can lead on. All of your institutions will be teams of teams. We'll get to it in a moment where we'll talk about like the different parts of your team. But just think about this. If you have your HR department, you have your IT department, right? Then you have the people who are actually, doing the work in the mission. And all of them have their own needs, their own objectives, priorities. It's important for you to set clear expectations. If you're bringing on an accountant, don't just assume that they understand taxes. Don't just assume that they're going to provide you financial reports. These are my expectations of a staff accountant here in my organization. I would like check-ins with you weekly, blah, blah, blah. Should that be written? Or is a phone call okay? Set the expectation. Also, if you make a mistake, listen, come openly to me about it. I expect us to work through these things together. But that's where you are setting those expectations about this is how we do things here. Defining the roles. I have, I am not really a fan of position descriptions per se, but I do like functions, and I'll explain what I mean by this. So if you think of a football game, right? When the ball is fumbled, everyone in the vicinity of the ball dives for it. No one steps back and says, well, that's not my job. That's not in my job description. you know, um, job descriptions sometimes become jail boxes that people refuse to operate outside of. Well, you don't pay me for that. So be very clear in your expectation. I pay you to win, to add value, to whatever. So that means if you're the director and you see trash, I expect you to pick it up because we're all here to win together. So just think about that as you're thinking through your roles. Oh, some food. Hey, hey. No, I don't know. Um, so that is the importance of defining those functions or roles. The shared mission. Keep everybody dialed into the shared mission because your HR department will start thinking in terms of how we hire people. Your IT department will start thinking in terms of the technological piece, but they all need to understand that without feeding these people, none of you have jobs. So our mission collectively is to provide this service out here in the world space, right? So let's stay focused. Keep everybody driving toward that same shared mission. Keeps people from being myopic. And then ownership mindset. This is, I think, one thing I love about this space is that you can tell that everybody takes ownership of what it is that they do for the overall organization, right? And that's a requirement because when people take ownership of a thing and say, no, this is mine, like this table is mine. I'm going to make sure it's clean, wiped down. When people aren't taking ownership of the things that they're a part of, they're like, oh, somebody will get it. I don't know, you know, maybe one day it's out of my hands. I had a coworker one time and she had a sign that says an old school saying used to be the buck stops here. And her sign says the buck doesn't even slow down here. I'm like, oh God, bless her heart. Like that is not how I treat any of my stuff. It's just so funny. But again, building all these things in intentionally. Okay. Next, let's see what we got next.
On that. So it makes me think too about like our journey with that piece about ownership and accountability. And I think that it is one of the most difficult, but one of the most critical fundamental parts of what's allowed us to sustain, and is the path to longevity. And like, how do we practice it is like you have to get at it in the moment and have difficult conversations with people when it feels like a ball was dropped or, something could be improved. And we also have a culture of like, we're always trying to make everything we do better. And I think it's also where like the culture eats strategy for breakfast thing comes into practice because it's not like there's not a written policy. Well, if you don't take this percentage of ownership and, have these responses in a conversation about, how we could improve, then you're out. But people who can't take accountability and ownership will not stay here because we don't have a culture that tolerates it. Yeah. And it also just makes me think about like what are the different practices and ways that people go about practicing that accountability on teams and where do you see that going excellently and where are the pitfalls that lead to not having ownership, not having accountability, and institutions collapsing in on themselves?
This stuff is so sexy. Like just these discussions. I love this stuff. No, I'm good. I'm good. I can go on. Oh my gosh. But speaking of, I think I don't know if it was Sheila or whoever is talking about the woman's thing. Listen, family, I was just listening to some stuff about menopause and the impact on women. And that's definitely got to be, yep, Sheila. That's got to be a part of the thing. Anyway, oh, because you said having a moment. Okay. I was like, how did I get there? Okay. Infrastructure matters. Infrastructure matters. Systems create sustainability. And wherever we don't have them, we are subject to burnout because that means likely without a system to do the work, you're doing the work, right? Whatever that work is. And let's talk about what the work is. Go to the next slide for me, honey. Let me see what I got here. Okay, so some core infrastructure areas for us to consider and talk about. But there may be more, but we'll just start here. Financial infrastructure. So, how do we account for things? How do we, how do we track our revenues, expenses, so on and so forth? Operational infrastructure, how do we provide our services or make our products, whatever it is? Communication, what are our lines of communication, internally, externally, so on, and then what are our leadership areas? Next slide. I think oh my gosh, this thing with my pictures is driving me nuts. Yeah, just use your imagination. Um, know your numbers, though. I talked about that last time I was here, and this has to do with understanding the industries in which you operate. Um, Listen, family, bottom line, every vision that we have takes resources to accomplish it. So, some combination of resourcefulness until we get to the state that Chin is talking about, where we don't need the actual physical trade mechanism of the dollar, right? But we will still need a mechanism by which we're providing services to one another. So, let's just call it resources, right? Your vision will take resources and you must know what that is. You know, even in the Bible it says something about like who is going to build something and doesn't count the cost first to know if he can actually finish it, you know. I forget the listen, I was gonna do some hood Bible stories, you know what I mean? Because my Bible stories be like, look, like I said, hood Bible, yeah. Mm-hmm. It need to be a thing. Who's done behind and started building something without checking? I got to work on it. Anyway, um, tracking, how do we track revenue? How do we track expenses? And then planning for growth. Like Mimi alluded to, if you go from 30 orders to 120 orders in a short period of time, sometimes growth is the thing that takes a person out. People often are not ready to grow as fast. So as soon as you start building the thing and it catches fire with people, you better have a good plan for how you're going to sustain that. You know, some places die on that hill. Okay, next slide. Operational processes, standard workflows, consistency. Go one more, please. I want to talk this from here. Yes, good. I like this. When with big systems that they implement in large organizations, they call these ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems. And these are four that I think are really important to think about. The first one is hire to retire, i.e., who are the people that are working with you? How do they come into the organization? How are they onboarded? and what's their life cycle um, while they're in this space. Okay. So hire to retire is the name for that, even though some people don't necessarily retire from it. It might be hire to fire. No, I'm just kidding. Or hire to quit. But essentially this is the human capital, talent management. How are you bringing people in? How are you progressing them in your institution, right? When someone comes in as an intern, are they able to progress into like an owner slash director slash, and what does that look like? How do you prepare them as they go? Um, so this is about how you recruit, where you're recruiting, what does that interviewing process looks like, onboarding, bringing them onto the team, performance discussions, growth and learning, what is their curriculum, um, progression, and then what does succession planning need to look like once they are matured in the organization and they're like, okay, hey, it might be time for me to go ahead and sit this down. How do we make sure we're doing knowledge capture so that we are not losing our knowledge set when these people walk out the door? All of that is in the hire to retire functioning. Okay, so that's part of your infrastructure. Procure to pay is how do you order the resources that you need to do your work? So if you're procuring seed or if you're procuring, whatever the materials are that you use in your service providing or your production, how do you source it? Where are you getting it from? And then ultimately, where's the payment coming from for those resources? Right. So that's a whole set of processes that you need to think about. How do I employ resources? How do I get resources? And then ultimately, um, what is that payment to look like? Conversely, on the other side is order to cash. So think about this from the time a customer, a client, or whatever orders something from me. Um, what does it look like to until I receive that payment? What are the processes? So uh he's like, yo, I'm right here. Too funny. Synergy. Um, so that's what we call order to cash. So you need to think about that. Is a person emailing you to place an order or to come out and stay at your site or whatever? How are they interacting with you? Once they send an email, do you send them the Calendly invite? Like, what is this process? How are you collecting payment? Is it Stripe? Is it um you have to clean in my space for 90 days? But that's part of your order to cash infrastructure. And then last but not least, I mentioned the financial piece, but it's budget to report. So, or record to report, you might see it that way too. But all of these things need to be recorded in some type of way for your financial reporting, right? So I like these because it allows us to think about these things holistically, you know? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm just now like as you talk, I'm walking in my head through each one of these concepts, how it works in our different parts of our institution or doesn't. Um, but yeah, even just knowing like clearly what resources you need to track, how you're going to track them, and how often you're going to review, what that review process looks like. Um, and when it's the same thing you're talking about, system scale. When you start, it can be very basic, and then the bigger you get, the more you have to like scale your tools that you use for, tracking finances and reporting on them, the level of expertise required to do that. So yeah, there's definitely levels to all of them.
I'm gonna pull up something real quick you made me think about. The functions of management. I want to share functions of management. Should add in this slide. Okay. So now this is like the paradox of institution building, right? Because listen, most entrepreneurs don't want to be damn managers. They don't want to be managed. That's why they decided to be entrepreneurs.
Tim's over here smiling.
However, comma, what you're gonna do is either you're gonna put someone on your team and you're gonna say, listen, I am the cat that you are gonna have to herd. and it's gonna be your job to keep me in line. And you just have to do it because guess what? In your entity, whatever it is, you will need these 3 hats. Okay. If you don't have a team, you're going to wear all 3 of these hats. The first hat is the technician. Okay. You are wearing the hat that is making the art, making the fashion, making the cakes, doing the things, doing the hair, whatever the service is that you're providing. That boom. Exactly. You're making the buckets. Okay. That's one hat. The management hat is the one that is building the standard operating procedures, doing the risk checks, building the checklist, making sure that everything happened when it was supposed to happen. What did we promise to who and when? What do we owe? That's the management hat. Okay? Somebody's got to do it, bro and sis. Okay? The third hat is the entrepreneur hat. The entrepreneur hat is the vision hat. It's the ideas hat. It's got all the great ideas. And it's like, no, we're going to do pink t-shirts with puffs on the side. And your manager's hat like, oh shit, how are we going to source this? And the technician's hat is like, we already got too many jobs to do. And it's all happening in one person until you hire these functions. Okay, so back to the management functions. There are 7 functions of management. All right. And I want you to have them because you are the manager. Planning. All right. Getting your vision on paper. Organizing. Leading. Motivating. Coordinating and controlling. Okay. Those are the functions of management. So those go on your job description as management until you hire that box out on your org chart, right? Remember, so, gosh dang it, Sky. Yes, I got it right. Sky. I said to draw the org chart out for your institution. Draw out the org chart, the boxes. Put titles on the boxes. Sales manager, marketing manager, social media coordinator. Listen, I know you don't have these people right now. I didn't ask you, do you have them right now? You're drawing the vision. You're writing the vision and making it plain. That's the whole point here. Get the vision out of your head and onto a mechanism that you can communicate it clearly. Draw your boxes. Boom, boom, boom. On all of your boxes, you put the roles, the responsibilities, the function, what you expect this person to do. I am the personality hire anywhere I go. So part of my expectations is that I make everybody smile in the office. Oh, you thought you hired an accountant? No. You hired the person that's going to walk around the office and make sure that everybody's cool. And we dance in the aisles. That's what I do. You know what I mean? Write it down. Okay. Back to what we're talking about here. Let's go with the next slide. We should be coming towards the end maybe so we can just have some open discussion here in a second. Okay. Communication infrastructure. Let's make sure that in our channels, we've got number one, clear channels of communication, formal, informal, what can be used when. I mean, if you're sending out important information about people's jobs, you may not want to be doing that on a Teams channel. Yo, you're fired. Let's put some little thought into this. But the feedback loop is important because communication from you outward is important, but how are you getting information back in? Can your people talk to you? Or, are you in the glass house and, you get to announce all these pronouncements, but no one can feed back to you, right? So you want to make sure, what is the feedback loop? How are you getting feedback as a leader? And trust me, if you want your people to come to you, if your people stop coming to you, that means they no longer trust you. They no longer believe that you can do, whatever it is. So they just won't come to you anymore. So if you say, "Oh, my people never come to me with anything," that's a clue. You might be you might be the problem. Okay. So ask for feedback. Leaders, ask for feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Ask, how am I doing? I asked my daughter, hey, how am I doing? Is there anything you need that I'm not, you know, I know I was a little impatient last week. I'm a Sagittarius girl. It's just whatever it is, but I'm just saying, open up the dialogue with them. Yeah, gotcha. So anyway, seek that feedback. Look for the gaps. Hey, team, does anyone know how we can do this better? Like Mimi mentioned, happens in your meetings. Transparency. Listen, there's always going to be things that you may not be able to share. When you're getting into bigger organizations, you may not be able to share just yet that, we're um, losing this particular opportunity, or we've just gotten this funding. Like, things are in the work and in the pipeline all the time. Not everything is open for you to share as a leader, but the goal is that you've built enough of a culture of trust that your people know, when I can share it with you, I will. And whatever I can share with you, I will, right? There may be legal reasons that you can't just share everything, especially if your institution is so big that now your people have decided to unionize, because guess what? They don't need your permission. So, if they start to collectively bargain, now you're coordinating with the union. So I can't say I'm giving everybody Saturdays off yet because it's not approved. So institutions are a lot more formal. They require a lot more structure, and just thought, especially if you're looking at like employees versus co-owners versus, there's 100,001 models that you could use for this collective that you're building. But the point is, don't let it be accidental. Don't let it be accidental. And enroll people in the process. Because guess what? You can think you're building like this wonderful collective where everybody loves each other and so on. All it takes is one wrong move, and then people go down to like the state and say, "Oh, this person didn't pay me." You're a contractor. Like, you're not an employee. But did we get you to sign the papers that say that? Like, you know what I mean? So everything intentional about your institution. That's how it stands the test of time. Keep going. Let's go next slide. I think we're coming down the home stretch. Leadership. This is all about, how do we do decision making? Is it centralized? Is it decentralized? Like, how empowered is the team? When do they need to check with you? When can they go on their own? How do we make decisions here? Who's accountable? You know, um, just want to think about those things. Some things you can't delegate responsibility if your name's on the dotted line. So you need to think about that. And then, of course, vision alignment. One thing in really big institutions, you have to keep your middle managers aligned. That is where the breakdown happens a lot. Like the C suite all buy into the vision and strategy. They know exactly where this train, they don't know where the train's going, but they feel confident about where this train is going over the next 5 years, right? They're all in the room having fun and they've been drinking coffee and bagels and they've drawn up this strategy on flip charts. Oh, yeah, they're into it. The middle managers, right? And typically your executives, they come and go, right? They come and go every couple few years. It's that middle management level that's been there 20 years that's going to shoot you in the foot if you don't have them dialed in. They're going to be like, yeah, they're trying some more shit. This didn't work last time. Yep, I've seen this before. Just give them a couple years, they'll be gone anyway. We'll be back to business as usual. you know? So, and they're the ones talking to the employees, to the people doing the work. So now nobody's motivated. They're like, yeah, yeah, sir, you're right. Stronger tomorrow. They saying the motto to you, yeah, stronger together. Who can't wait till this joker leaves? Okay. So, so this alignment work is important. Okay, next slide. Woo, a few. Next slide, Colin. Thank you, dear. Okay, so right now, um, let's go back to our reflections a little bit. So, with regard to either your leadership component, um, your communication component, your operations, or your finances, just kind of write down where you think you need. Listen, and if you need to start on all of it, that's okay. Just kind of, there are 4 areas: financial, operations, leadership, and communication. Maybe take a stab at saying, okay, which one do I need to start building out first, second, third, fourth? Maybe I need to get clear operationally first and then look at the finances and then maybe communications, so on and so forth. Okay. And then I want you to assess yourself as to your vision. Do you feel like it's really dialed in? Do you understand your mission? I'm going to tell you, lock that piece in, like I said, first. Because once you get clear, you can sit in a room with anyone and you can say in a sentence or two what it is that you're doing. Here's what I'm doing, and here's why it's exciting. And here's why you should invest. Here's why you should join me. Here's why you should be a part of this. Okay, so that clarity is going to be key. And then institution, and then infrastructure. So just kind of assess yourself. Use AI can be a tool to help you sort of think some of this through. Always be guiding the AI though. You are the visionary. You are in charge. So, make sure you're treating any tool the same way. I'm the user of the hammer. The hammer's not going to use me. The hammer's not going to direct me. I direct the hammer. So if I put something in and I ask, what's a great strategy? And it says, oh, this is you. And then I'll say, no, 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 that's not who I want to serve. That's not how I talk. Please rewrite this to make it, you know what I mean? Always be the leader. I don't care what it is that you're working with, whether it's AI. AI ain't got your vision. It doesn't. It might can help you do an outline of something, but just make sure you're in charge there, okay? You're leading the discussion. You're tweaking it. Okay. If you had your teenager coming in taking notes for you, you wouldn't allow them to just take your stuff and give it back. No, no, no. Okay. So you can work through some of these things, but use the tools, but just use them smartly.
That way of thinking of it of like a creative and informed teenager.
Yep. Creative and informed teenager. And I will even make sure that I say, oh, because listen, I put discussions with my boyfriend in that thing. I'm gonna say this sucker texts me and I need to know why my feelings are like what triggered me about this and how should I respond? And then it will go through and it will tell me, this, that. Of course it's on my side. And then I will say this. Now, give me his perspective and why he might have felt that way. I ask for the opposite side. And then because mine is named Nova, I gave her a name. I was like, girl, listen, you are my partner and you need a name, sis. Nova. I'm like, tell me from his perspective. So I will make her do both sides of the argument because I want to be able to say his side better than him. And then I'm like, honey, oh, you must have been so tired when you came in, blah, blah, blah. Versus, sucker, who you talking to? So anyway, all right. Well, that is, I think my last slide, maybe. I think we're really there at the last perhaps slide. I think the last slide is like an action thing. Um, Yeah, one thing you can do today toward your institution, your vision, your infrastructure, just one thing. Um, yeah, so let's open it up for discussion. Chin, what's your biggest takeaway for today?
Biggest takeaway for today. I think the biggest takeaway for me is probably this piece around, I think like alignment, just like from top to bottom, especially as you start to scale, and just the importance of like stepping into some of those difficult conversations and relationship building to make sure that all the different pieces of your organization are like aligned in, what y'all are here to do. And that you build, that you build it into your culture, that you build it into like the social, I guess like, I think like I think what we were talking about today is like this idea of like systemic infrastructure, but also I guess like social infrastructure, like how y'all greet each other when you come in the door every day, what y'all do together, what kind of relationship you have outside of just like work stuff, what y'all's like fundamental like values are aside from just like whatever's best for the company, like, and so just basically just like the importance of like those pieces when it comes to building an organization and building a team that's going to be able to work together with like a clear understanding of what y'all's shared goal is. So
Yeah, that's important. And while you were talking, I did want to say this too. Be sure to distinguish like alignment and coherence from like method because it's important to have differences in method and differences in mindset and differences in like how we go about this thing um because that type of friction points um can propel us even more. So but alignment is like, okay, are we all going to Japan or not? Now you want to go by train, I'm going to fly. Right. Mimi's going to swim. But we all are heading in the to the same place. We all believe Japan is beautiful. It's a worthy goal. It's where we want to be. Um, and some of us want to get there tomorrow and sleep, and some of us want to sleep on the way there. So we're taking the train. We want to see the sights. That's an important distinction, I think, when we're thinking through who's aligned with us. It doesn't mean that they have the same thought process. Uh, does that make sense? I don't know how to.
So much sense to me, and the importance that you actually don't want a team of people who all think the same and have the same methodology. That's, I feel like, a common pitfall of any organization or group, is we're attracted to people who are like us, but that's dangerous. It's not balanced. It lacks the creative tension that actually drives growth and brings in the different perspectives that make it whole. Yeah.
Yes. Boom. Okay, Sheila, or someone in the room. What you got? We'll go with Sheila, and then we'll come in here.
Okay, thank you. So I got a lot. I saw also that I'm on a right path, but the most important for me, it was the vision, because it's somehow difficult sometimes to keep, yes, on this level, mission vision, so that we don't lose our way, yes, and start doing things that are totally outside of what we expect and which kind of mission we have. And of course, the necessity of a system. Yes, this is how it works. And if we think about the world, how it works, we have a system. Yes. And if we don't have that, it's very difficult to keep people working for us and even wanting to join our organization. So thank you for that. It was wonderful. And I hope we can have the slides somehow, or some documents to go through deeper.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that feedback, Sheila. And just to kind of keep on like feeding this, let me see. Where are we good on time? Like 7:34, maybe 5 more minutes of discussion. Okay. Um, so something you said about that mission, right? So let's just say the mission is we empower women, okay, or we love women, um, and we support them through education, community, and, whatever. Right. So that statement is broad enough to use vehicles of, online learning, vehicles of right? So dialing in the mission, it should be broad enough to kind of support what you do. Because again, this is an institution that you're building, right? So you want it to be able to move and grow a bit. Um, but just understanding who you're serving. Yep. That's very cool. Sky, what you got? Here, I'm gonna give you.
Thank you. Oh, static electricity. Oh, out of all this, I'm happy that where I came in. I was stuck on the enterprise resource planning for a minute and thinking about how I flow through that. But then when you came to the identify the gap side, I was like, oh, that's a place to park, right? Just to think about how things flow to catch myself up from where I came in, where you identified that to map out what the systems look like in general. And so I think that in doing that, that's something that I will be implementing right away. To be more specific, I'm working on a creative project, a nationwide creative project where I reverse engineered Project 2025 years ago. And I reached out to community organizations, and no one saw the vision of how important it would be when things are happening. And so now, even as our airports are shut down, and this is all intentional. I'm like, turn to page 159. I literally feel like I'm in class every day. And I'm like, look, 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 it's happening. Look, this is not to be excited about it, but I am, because I have a plan for it. And so I'm working on a creative project to actually meet in Minnesota in August. And there are a lot of gaps because people don't understand how much power we have right now to just take a few days and shut down what would happen. And essentially, that's where we're leading with Project 2025, because it's going to be chaos and destruction. And so being able to identify the gaps that I have, I know there are a lot of weak spots because I don't know what I don't know about what I don't know. I just know where I want to go. So yeah.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Shiny, what's your thoughts?
Um, a couple things, really. I'll try to keep it short because I know we're running over. I think in my organization, we got a lot of micro missions. And I think that question of, tell me what you do and why it's exciting will help me as the person who holds the vision and the systems design, help us see, like, okay, does that actually connect here? Are we a shared purpose? Or is your micro mission actually doing some whole other thing under our umbrella? Right? Like we can have different target people and audiences and stakeholders doing, and why you're excited about it doesn't actually connect to the work of everyone else, then we got a problem. Which might be a design problem, but it's still a problem.
Facts, bars. Okay, well,
Can I have so just a thought on that. So in like systems thinking, there's a term called sub-optimization, which means that there's some subset of the system that becomes optimized to be perform at its highest level, but at a way that actually ends up being an expense on the system as a whole. It's a detriment as a whole. And like as a manager, leader, director, like that is a role to look at, is what's happening over here helping to serve the vision and mission as a whole. That is a critical part of leadership, and it can be a hard thing to manage, especially because people are passionate about what they're passionate, and that's good. But is it serving the whole ultimately? And how do you assess that? And then what do you need to do, to bring it into alignment, that it's not sub-optimization, that it is feeding back into the mothership that is feeding all of it? I have a couple other thoughts I wanted to share, but I know we're like, here goes, sir.
I'll be back. No, no, no. I just want to make sure you tell folks how can you support this great work?
Absolutely.
Great presentation. It brought a lot of joy and pain to my to my own experience. So thank you.
Joy and pain. So that sounds like a little bit of where you started too. Yeah. God. You what? Okay, so I will. So since we're like at this time, and I will say for anybody who wants to stay on longer, and like if there's anything else you want to dig deeper on, but also we just really want your feedback too on today and what else you want to see, and like Stephanie was saying, whatever we can do to improve, we need you to tell us, because I had a great time. But and there is a link that is scarabys.com/survey. Is it already in the chat or okay, Alvin put it in the chat. Booyah, thank you. Where you can let us know. And I will also just say again, shout out to the Indianapolis Recorder for broadcasting us and all the work that they do. And if you're watching this, you're probably already on Alchemy Plus, but that is our global interstellar platform where all of these sessions are recorded and accessible, as well as a bunch of other educational resources for institution builders, entrepreneurs, artists, organizers. And you can access it anytime, anywhere. And you can invite people and y'all can get together, and it's social media too. So you can share events, you can ask questions, you can do polls, you can interact with each other and keep building on what you took from today. So alchemy.kheprw.org. And then of course, Kheprw Institute, has been living this institution building life in community for decades, and is really grounded in the work of generations of people. And to keep it going, donate.kheprw.org is a way that you can keep these conversations going, because as Stephanie said, there is resources to operate this building, the lights, the technology, and all that stuff, and everybody's got to eat. So donate.kheprw.org, great way to support. And then this is also like, we were so excited to bring in Stephanie and as a part of the Scarabys consulting work as well. Like we have this engine where our goal is to share the lessons that we have learned through practicing institution building and community building and entrepreneurship and all this in a way that other people can use it to also make this better world, you know, for the people, for the planet, for the love, and actually building platforms that can sustain that lifestyle and that culture. So Scarabys Consulting Cooperative, scarabys.com, you can check out, you know, a little bit more about our team. You can book a session with us. You can even do like an intro one that's no cost just to get to know each other a little more and see what are you trying to do? You know, do we have synergy here? Yeah, anything else you want to say to close it out, and then we can wrap whatever y'all want to dig in, and you can tell us how we can just keep getting better.
Yeah, no, lastly, just thanks for the opportunity. It's always great to be here in this room with these visionaries. So that's all I have to say. Have a great rest of your week.
Booyah. Back at you. And we had a really interesting too, because Emily is calling in from Florida, I'm pretty sure. Sheila's in Germany. Shiny was in so-called, as she said,